Alright, for some of you I will just explain how you play Sith Sorcerer now. Should you skill on Lightning instead of, let's say, Corruption or Madness, I would advise skilling your Masterful and Heroic skills and so on the way I did. You should, from the skills you are getting, taking something like damage reduction is really important, because you can, I know you can lower your threat, I'm aware of that, but in the case you do it too late or don't recognize that you get in damage fast and more, having a damage reduction helps you a lot in raids, for example. And you should also boost your healing for the same reason why you're boosting your defense. And aside from your defensive buffs, you should also skill on something like immersion as well, to be able to be more mobile and so on and so forth. And since you want to be mobile, you should also go from force mobility and unnatural vigor, for the same reasons earlier. Reduce your damage, get your healing, which you can self-healing, or the healing you get in you should be boosted as well. Would be really important for the lightning variant. However, how do you actually use your powers? So, Crushing Darkness is your starter ability. You have to go get Crushing Darkness on a target to make the most damage out of your skills and to chain into many things. And you can boost yourself up if you want to at the beginning, but aside from Polarity Shift, Affliction is also really important, since you're making damage over time. And Affliction actually enables you to get in the damage you want to get in. Without Affliction, this rotation would be meaningless, because you don't get in the damage you want on target. You need the debuff on the target first, so to speak. As I said, like, you can think of Polarity Shift and Unlimited Power as just a booster, and same goes for your Stim. You have those as to boost your damage, not really to make the damage, if you get what I mean. Same goes with Recklessness, but the difference with Recklessness is you want to make critical damage, so it's extremely helpful in raids. For smaller targets, it doesn't even matter if you use it or not. Actually, let's say you're leveling your character up, right? The rotation you would want to run would be these 4 skills. You cast Affliction on something, then you do Thundering Blast, Chain Lightning, and then you spam Force Storm till you can restart your rotation again. This is for like content you're playing on your own, or even if you play, let's say, Flashpoints and you have smaller targets, you can use that. But if you have a boss, for example, then everything changes really. Aside from getting in dealing damage over time, Crushing Darkness also enables you to get the triggers for certain skills. Like, you gone through this process and you activate Recklessness, and then you start casting your skills, right? The moment you cast Lightning Flash, you want to go into Lightning Bolt 3 times in a row, and that would be just amount of time for Thundering Blast to recover again. I don't have a target with the health pool around me at the moment to show you that. how you exactly would run this rotation, but you just click it through. I made it simpler for you visually, so I just have the same skills again in my bar. So you can just click it through the first bar completely, and after you're done, you go to the second bar, go to Thundering Blast, to Chain Lightning again, and then Lightning Bolt, to Crushing Darkness, which will also recover in time. Then you go into Lightning Flash, Shock, and Thundering Blast and Chain Lightning. You will notice though that these skills up here, after you finish Chain Lightning, won't recover as much, as fast again. Recklessness has a cooldown of about 1.5 minutes. So, depending on how you exactly pressed your skills, you should be able to activate Recklessness again in that time period. Same goes for Polarity Shift. However, let's say you can't, then you just go into Thundering Blast and you just go through the same process here. You just activate these two skills, Recklessness and Polarity Shift, whenever you can. If you want to use unlimited power like that, you can also spam it. If you want to use it on smaller targets, you don't have to use unlimited power aside from like raid bosses, because the damage you do is enough already. But let's say you want to, you can, of course. Just when you finish the Chain Lightning, you should start with Affliction again. Your target should have Affliction on it for you to make the damage. So, hold on, wait. Let me... yeah, to put them on passive.
You're the captain.
So. I can't really show you it because they don't have enough health for me to show you that. But regardless, you start always with Crush just for you to get it again. I would also advise you to have the cooldown counter active for your skills, especially as a Sith Sorcerer, because you need to have the specific timing to chain in the proper skills. If you don't do that, you won't make nearly as much damage as you would want to do. You would just waste your time. Yeah, so you go with Crushing Darkness, then Polarity Shift, then you go into Affliction, use your Adrenal, and again, unlimited power if you use it, or if you don't use it, whatever. Let's say you use it, you just press it for smaller adds, and Recklessness of course, and then you spam your abilities through. You use 3 times Lightning Bolt in a row, then you go into Thundering Blast, Chain Lightning, Lightning Bolt again, then you start over with Crushing Darkness, into Lightning Flash, Shock, Thundering Blast, and Chain Lightning. If you're gone through this process, you want to activate Affliction again. Even if Crushing Darkness is on cooldown, you want to have Affliction on your target. That's the most important thing. And as I said, if you have smaller targets, you just use these 4 skills and you're good to go. It's not like in the past anymore. So you don't have to... You are skilled to the maximum amount of your damage output anyway on every planet you go to nowadays. It's not like in the past where your gear determined your damage, if you get what I mean. For these types of ads, I'm not speaking about flashpoints or anything like that, I'm just speaking about open world ads. And the skills you see here pretty much, like interruption with Jolt and so on and so forth, though you don't need these skills. You should also never use Forced Lightning as a sorcerer, because that's like a shitty... You consume so much time casting the skill and you deal almost no damage at all. It's not worth it. And you can also use Force Speed to buff a Lightning Bolt, but the thing is, you don't have to do that. Like, you don't need these activation time frames, since you will want to cast it 3 times in a row before Thundering Blast anyway, so you don't have to spam it, if you get what I mean, to waste power. And let's see. You can make your interface differently, but Force Barrier should be close to the main bar for you to use it in like live or die situations. Aside from that, you can also activate before you go into combat your static barrier, of course, especially in raids. And regarding consuming darkness, you should actually never run into a situation where you have to spam this ability, but let's say you fuck up your rotation, you just press something to kill the last 10% of something, and you recognize that you're not making as much damage as you want to do, and you run out of power. Let's say you don't have any. Then you do you can spam this ability to recharge, but as I said, like, you shouldn't have any power issue with a Sith Sorcerer usually, aside from spamming the wrong abilities without casting the right skills beforehand. The thing that I'm trying to get to is you play this specific class in damage over time style. You don't go in and try to make the most damage like, I don't know, like a Sith Marauder, for example. It's quite different, if you ask me. So, should you have any questions, you can also like put them in the comments or ask me again. But yeah, that would be it really. And just keep in mind that never to use Forced Lightning. And Overload will never work in the rate how you want to work it, but also you can use it, sure, for smaller ads to get away from you. You can even put your companion on tank, for example, to get them far away as much as possible from you, to make the most damage. But it's a really easy way to play this class, and for your mods and your powers in general, you would have to... I would advise you to skill on critical more and more on electricity, simply because you want to cast your skills faster, but you shouldn't go over the board with it. Like, keep this amount of number in mind. It should have, like, your electricity to critical can be bigger, the difference, but the difference between accuracy and electricity should also at least be about 100 to 200. Like, electricity should always be more than let's say accuracy. And yeah, as I said, if you have any questions, you can ask me on Discord or just put them in the comments. As the relics, I would go with Serendipitous Assault and Relic of Focused Retribution. Other than that, really, what else is there to say? Yeah, again, as I said, you can ask me whenever you want to, and that would be it for me. Thanks.